On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, Bitcoin breaks through a new all-time high again after a CNBC personality recommends Bitcoin as one of the best investments around, and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange announced that it will launch a Bitcoin futures product this month. All of that, a market roundup on today's episode of the Cryptoverse, so stay right there. Hi there guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney. So let's do a SegWit check-in before we begin the show today. 15 days and 3 hours to go according to the SegWit 2x countdown. It says 15 days to go, and this is until the Bitcoin hard fork, which is approximately Thursday the 16th of November. And also, SegWit 2x futures are trading around $1,050, I believe. We'll look at that in the chart reading segment. But $1,050, and it set a high yesterday of $12.99. So that's kind of interesting. And also, according to CoinDance, active miner support for SegWit 2x is sitting at 84.1%. So let's keep an eye on that as we move towards the next hard fork in, a couple of weeks' time. So let's get on to these stories. CNBC, which is a mainstream media outlet, they allowed a guy, Brian Kelly, to air an ultra-positive segment on Bitcoin during his show, Fast Money. Now, the Cointelegraph wrote this up, and they talked about, the headline says, DTC, which stands for Direct to Consumer, which apparently is something this guy, Brian Kelly, talks about. When he talks about, say, Amazon, they go DTC, they go direct to consumer, cutting out the middleman. Now, he says in this segment, and the video is embedded into the Cointelegraph article if you want to watch it, but he says Bitcoin will, quote, Amazon the banks, meaning cut them out as middlemen, which is what Amazon does, manufacturer straight to consumer, right? DTC. He also says the market is huge for Bitcoin, and he suggests that Bitcoin's market is international remittances. He says things like Jamie Dimon is, his bank is moving $7 trillion around the world every day, so Bitcoin could be useful for that. That's kind of interesting. And then finally, he uses what looks like a chart from blockchain.info to show the number of unique Bitcoin addresses, and they're increasing exponentially on the graph that he shows. And he uses that as evidence to prove that there is high demand for Bitcoin as a product. So that was also interesting. So they're the 3 points why he says Bitcoin is one of the best investments around. Now, even though I personally don't take anything the mainstream media says seriously, some people do, so that's why this is important, right? It's important that they are hearing an alternative perspective on Bitcoin, and for once, a positive perspective. So that came out yesterday, so no doubt will have helped move Bitcoin's price up, which it did go up quite a bit yesterday. But also, there was another story came out, which is this one. I've picked this out of Bitcoin Magazine, but most of the media outlets are reporting on this. This got people even more excited. It was the fact that the CME Group, which is a diverse marketplace of financial derivatives trading platforms, they said they're going to be launching a Bitcoin futures market on the 14th of November. That's only 2 weeks away. Now, since this is a traditional derivative exchange, it means this new market will show up in all the computer systems that the CME is connected to, right? That'll allow traders to trade Bitcoin from within the same computer system that they use for everything else, rather than having a separate system or an exchange for trading Bitcoin, right? Which they don't want to do. They're quite happy trading all of the mainstream financial instruments. Now, while this initially sounds like big news, it likely also contributed to the move up in Bitcoin's price yesterday. Despite that, there are a couple of details about this that I noticed. This is a derivatives market, so they're not trading actual Bitcoin assets. So they're not going to be transferring Bitcoin from one wallet to another, and neither are going to be trading it on a Bitcoin exchange that we know. They also say that the market will be cash settled, so even more so, everything will be done in dollars. All these people are doing is betting against each other on the future price of Bitcoin. So this is all happening outside the Bitcoin ecosystem. So it's not trading Bitcoin like we trade Bitcoin. by depositing it on an exchange and then trading it and then withdrawing it. That's not how this is going to be done. So help me out here on this one. How is any of this new money going to make it into the real crypto economy? I don't see how it can. I mean, how is it even going to support Bitcoin's price other than through perception and brand awareness, you know, when this new fund appears inside people's trading platforms? So let me know your comments on that in the comments below for this episode. So in conclusion today, before we move to the market roundup, the truth is really that there will be no one single industry, no one single business or one single person that isn't eventually impacted by the changes that cryptocurrencies are making. You know, long-established institutions, they're kind of suffering from the ostrich syndrome, where they bury their head in the sand and then they pretend that they can't see what's coming, and if they can't see it, they're going to be all right. But whether any of us like it or not, it's a case of evolve or die, and I'd rather come along willingly, and I'm sure you would too. In fact, yesterday I finished recorded an interview with a guy, Marcelo, from the Mycenas project, hard to pronounce, and he was talking about how he's bringing a blockchain-based project to the fine art world. I was going to publish that today, but because of the big Bitcoin news, I thought I'm going to have to roll it over to tomorrow. So that's an illustration of how even the fine art world that has been untouched for such a long time is now being transformed, let's say, by Ethereum technology. So look out for that when I publish it. So for the market roundup then, we're going to use OCFX once again, because I quite like this. Two biggest winners of the day, BitShares. I've been looking at the EOS chat group because there's a lot of graphene fans in there. So let me just give you the numbers first. BitShares is trading at about 7 cents today, up 26.39%. And many of the people in the EOS chat group were saying that once BitShares kind of crashed in price after it was removed from Bitfinex, Bittrex, removed BitShares as an asset it was trading, so the price went down. So that was the big dump, and now it's been pumped back up again. So it might not be a gain overall. It might just be the price recovering, if you know what I mean. Following on from there, the next biggest gainer is Golem, up 22.24%, trading at 23 cents a coin. And then the other big winner today is EOS itself. Gained 14.73% in the last 24 hours. And that's the second or third day on the chart where EOS has gone up. And it's now trading at 78 cents, not 80 cents. In terms of the biggest losers, we've got Metal. I think Metal was doing quite well yesterday, but it's now down 17.16% to $6.33. And Stratis down 11.34% to $3.22. The sector that has gained the most today is the distributed computing sector, and the payment platforms is the biggest loser sector today. So there we go. Now there are 4 different charts I want to look at just before we close out here. I want to look at Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Gold, and EOS. So let's begin with the old Bitcoin Cash chart. And you see here that Bitcoin Cash is making another attempt at $500. In fact, right now it's at $501.56. So it's going to be breaking a Fibonacci level, which is $488. And at the same time, it's gone past $500. Very interesting. Now this has moved above its 50-day moving average as well, and it's causing the 50-day moving average to turn up. Very interesting stuff. So that bodes well for Bitcoin Cash. The next point of resistance, if it can break above 500 and hold, would be $580, which is right there at the 50% Fibonacci level. And I've drawn those Fibonacci lines right from its all-time high of 972. Now moving on to Bitcoin itself then, this is where we see the all-time high. 6481 was yesterday's all-time high. However, I think we've broken that already. 6495 is today's all-time high, and the price it's trading at right now is 6490. So it's really close to the all-time high right at this minute in time. So quite away from the moving averages. Bitcoin's way overextended from the 200-day moving average, but because the 50-day moving average is so steep, it's keeping up with Bitcoin's increasingly steep curve. I've drawn the 6,000 line as a good point of support, or 5,550 would be my other point of support, but it's also just broken the previous all-time high, so who knows where this will stop before it pulls back. Seems to be a lot of momentum on the go there. Now, in terms of Bitcoin Gold, which I have to go to hit BTC for, no, I don't. Bitfinex, oh, Bitfinex is trading Bitcoin Gold. How interesting. What is it? Oh, Bitfinex is where, sorry, hit BTC is where I have to go for the SegWit2x futures price. But Bitfinex is trading Bitcoin Gold. Right this minute, it's trading at $142. And that's been moving up quite a bit. It had a good day yesterday. Bitcoin Gold hit a high of $155, and it's about $13 away from that right now. And on the first day of trading, according to this data, it hit a high of $200. And finally, EOS has been on the move. So let's look at EOS in US dollars. There's some kind of notifications popping up in my Coinigy here that's nothing to do with what I want to talk about. So here's EOS broken above its 50-day moving average. There isn't a 200-day because I've not got enough data to draw one. But in any case, EOS has been trailing down, 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 down. It hit a bottom of about 50 cents, just slightly below that, and is now for the last 3 or 4 days been on a rally. Now, interestingly, I drew a channel here looking at the two previous highs where it hit resistance, and it's at a price of 85 cents. And oddly enough, today's high has stopped right about there. So today's high was 83 cents. So that's looking like good resistance. If EOS can break above that 85 cent mark, then it looks good to go to around $1.30. So there's my predictions on that one. So let's see how that goes. Alrighty then, thanks very much for joining me today, guys. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're new around here, get subscribed. And if you would like access to my very best material, such as my structured online courses that will teach you things like how to make and save money with Bitcoin, you can check out cryptoversity.com. Alright guys, that is all for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Cryptoverse. Maybe I'll even publish that interview tomorrow. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.